What's up, everybody? Blessed be. My name is Manon, and you are watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond. Please visit me on my other platforms as well, including Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, all links down in the description below. The full script of this video and most of the others is available on my Patreon account for download if desired to build your own Witch in the Working Book of Shadows. Also, please visit my Shopify store listed in the description below to get your Witch in the Working shirts, mugs, stickers, bags, beanies, or what have you. So I've mentioned before that I was raised as a non-religious individual, and neither my mother, father, nor the rest of my immediate family were very religious at all, so to speak. Never went to church on Sundays and never celebrated religious holidays as they would be celebrated religiously. For instance, Christmas was about Santa Claus and presents, and Easter was about Peter Cottontail and baskets full of toys and candy. So when I was 18 years old and I received my calling to paganism, it was a very easy decision to make, as I wasn't carrying any previous baggage of a religious indoctrination to cause a roadblock, so to speak. However, not all of us are in this situation. Some of us are extremely lucky and were actually raised as pagans from the get-go, from early childhood. All they've known in their whole life is the magic and mystery of our pagan lifestyle. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have individuals who are not only raised in a specific belief, but raised in an extreme or an orthodoxy version of this religion. Most of the time, these extreme views tend to follow Abrahamic type faiths, for instance, Muslims, Christians, and Judaism. For these people raised in extreme conditions, walking away from this lifestyle and exploring a new spirituality-based system or religion can be a major challenge on so many levels. Your loved ones, friends, co-workers, and surrounding community, your own personal battles and brainwashing to be overcome, the challenges of walking a path of uncertainty except for the fact that you're following your heart, that you must learn to trust for once in your life and not leave everything to an unseen, unheard, invisible force that you've been told as long as you worship and give your money over, you'll be guaranteed a seat in paradise upon death. It can be a very scary and challenging life experience, but your heart and mind push you to the limits to find out more and search the shadows for that yearning and seeking you're infatuated with and so desperately clawing towards as you walk the many paths and decisions through the maze of wonderment and satisfaction. All you know is that as you progress, you feel as though you're coming home every step you take deeper and deeper into the wilds of pagan mysteries. In this episode of Witch in the Working, we're going to talk all about making this transition from chains to chalices, or even from Christ to Kernanos. Now again, I have never experienced this lifestyle as I mentioned earlier, but I did meet a person who lived and is living this experience right now, as I'm sure there are plenty of you out there as well in her same boots, so to speak. We're going to meet our new friend, and she's going to share experiences of being from closed-minded to enlightened. And let those of you out there who walk this same path know that you're not alone. There's more to life than a bunch of tall tales written down in an old book. Roll intro. A squig. Our word of the day, squig. This is a squig.
Yeah, Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. So as I mentioned, I didn't really come up with a background that was an extreme other religion or anything. So things were quite easy for me to make that, transition into paganism. But we're going to get right into it, and we're going to talk to our special guest here who has experienced these things. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Teresina. I'll be 27 in a couple months. I'm a Sagittarius. I have 3 kiddos, and I am kind of an eclectic witch pagan now. And I grew up in a very strict Christian home.
So you mentioned in a Christian home. What kind of? So we all know there's like 100 different sects of Christianity, just like there is Wicca and witchcraft too. So what sect did you come up in?
My mother is a Seventh-day Adventist. What that basically means is that they go to church on Saturday. They follow the laws of the Old Testament, and they are big on the second coming of Jesus.
Why do they go to church on Saturday instead of Sunday?
Because according to the Bible, Saturday is the seventh day.
Okay. I don't know. If you say so. I don't know. I just know most people go on Sunday.
Well, that's what they say. That's what I was taught to say, and I was even taught how to show people this in the Bible. So.
Okay, cool. All right. No, I've had Seventh-day Adventists come to my house before, and I had talked to them and challenged them, with their thing. If anybody goes back, I'll link it up here. Over there. There'll be a link to my video where I talk about the other people and about how where when proselytizers come to your door, it's just like another story for them. It keeps everything real. It's not really insulting them or telling them bad things. It's simply using their own book to explain how we feel a little bit differently. But anyway, so so this so as far as being Christian and coming up, it wasn't just about going to church on Saturdays for you. You lived this life like to an extreme, and it was kind of like to such an extreme that it actually wasn't even something where you had all the control in the world over it. In other words, you had people telling you and kind of shoving it down your throat, like with a plunger. So go over, tell us a little bit about like what your experience, like when you were a young girl, when you were like from the time, like say you were between 6 and 14 years old, what was it like to live in this extreme environment?
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start off with the fact of when I was 6, I used to hear a lot about what's called the time of trouble, like the end of days type deal, that Jesus was coming back any day. I needed to make sure that I had my soul straight out and that I was doing everything I needed to be doing, listening to my parents and studying the Bible, for what a 6-year-old could do. It just progressed as I got older. I began to have a lot of paranormal experiences, and it didn't happen in just one place. We moved around a lot when I was younger. And my mother would always tell me that those were demons that were in disguise of spirits and were coming after me, and I needed to repent. And pretty much everything that I experienced, I was like, well, geez, if I'm that terrible, I'm just not worth being alive. So that's kind of like that deal. I was like, damn, I'm doomed anyway. And so being homeschooled, one of the subjects that was added to my to my list of subjects was actually a Bible. Like I had to study the Bible every single day. I had to be able to quote things, read things. My thoughts were not my own. I couldn't think about certain things, couldn't talk about certain things. It just wasn't proper. I was highly encouraged to dress modestly, like in long skirts and covered up and everything. And I was taught to be obedient and to, be submissive. A big thing in the church is that women are not supposed to be preachers. They're allowed to teach the children, but they're not allowed to do anything else. So pretty much keep your women in line. Wow. And that didn't go over well with me as I got older.
Like barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen type deal?
Kinda, I guess you could say, yeah. Pretty much. And then that's kind of it. Let's see here. My mother never took me to the doctor because she didn't believe that we were supposed to see the doctor. God was the almighty doctor. Never been to a dentist. I'm paying for all of these things as an adult now. Wow. But
I can't even imagine like having the experience of not even going to the doctor or the dentist. In other words, taking away your health care in the name of God is just insane to me. And it's a shame. It's a real shame because it could have gone a lot worse. I mean, I've heard horror stories about children being extremely sick because some of these religions, they're like, oh no, we're putting this in God's hands. You're not allowed to deal with medicine, where all it meant was for them to go get an antibiotic. You know, I mean,
I broke my pinky when I was like 9, and she didn't take me to the ER or anything. She told me she'd pray over it, and that was it. And I went home. My pinky's crooked now.
Unbelievable. Wow. I mean, I kind of had the same thing. It's kind of funny because this pinky right here, it wasn't because of religion, no, but this pinky right here, I fractured it when I was a kid. No, it was this pinky. And I don't know if you could tell, but like if I line up, one's a lot bigger than the other, because when I fractured it, it actually stopped growing because I did it when I was like 10.
Oh, wow.
So now I have one pinky longer than the other. It's like, it's actually has like a whole nother joint that never grew. It's kind of weird. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
So what about like, why did you have to go to another school? Was that her decision, or was that based on the religion? Or why did you have to be homeschooled, should I say?
Because of evolution. She did not want me being taught evolution or American history. I know almost zip about American history. And history I do know was of like ancient world history. I love ancient world history, but that's not the point. She held me back, or tried to hold me back a couple grades because I wanted to progress. And she said, no, we need to just stick with this. But it had a lot to do with, she didn't want me socializing with other children. There were a lot of things going on at home too that wasn't, even in the Christian world, is not normal. A lot of family dysfunction in general. So it was, she didn't want me telling anybody. She didn't register me with the state, and she was supposed to register me with the state, and the state was supposed to test me every year. I don't remember ever taking a test like that. So in order to keep all of the family secrets, I was pretty much made to be a prisoner at home growing up as a child. Mm-hmm. I never went anywhere without her. I never went and played with any friends. I didn't have any friends, hardly. I tried to make friends. We immediately moved, or she told me I couldn't see them anymore.
That's cool. You know, it's funny, like when I first met you, I actually told you you should watch the movie Christine. I think, well, no, sorry, not Christine. You should watch the movie Carrie. It's called Carrie, I think, and it's like where they have like creepy Carrie, whatever, and it's literally about like this girl that it sounds like your story, like literally. The only difference is like she ended up going to high school, but she had these special powers, like where she could telekinesis, where she could move shit with her mind and everything.
I wish.
Yeah, and she ends up like the kids are super mean to her and stuff. Like she's so what would you call it? Not like subdued. Like she's so like suppressed. Like she doesn't even know. Look, she's just in high school. The next thing you know, she's taking a shower in high school because they just got out of the gym, and she starts her period for the first time. She has no idea what that even is. She just starts gushing blood, and she thinks she's dying. And she goes running to the other girls in the gym. Oh my God! And she starts freaking out, and they all start picking on her and teasing her, and they start throwing tampons at her and stuff because and saying plug it up, plug it up, plug it up. And finally the gym teacher comes in and saves her and stuff, but she's so suppressed by her mother, who's this religious zealot, I don't know what you would call it, it's a religious extremist, that she doesn't even know like that. She goes home and her mother starts scolding her. Now you are the devil. Now you're a demon because now you can bleed. And the way her mother sees it is because she started her period, she's a woman now, and now she's truly of the devil because she can become pregnant and everything else. So she sticks her in this little tiny closet that has a whole bunch of Jesus stuff in it and says, "You've got to pray, child, you've got to pray," and locks her in there for like the whole night until it's kind of crazy. You'd have to see it, but anyway, it almost, when you told me your story the first time, I was like, oh my God. I was like, this sounds like Carrie, but without the, special powers. So what about the rest of your family? So your mom was kind of like this. How about the rest of your family? Or did they follow the same boat, or was it just your mom?
The rest of my family followed my mother's side. My dad was a Baptist, and he really wasn't into the SDA culture. And that was a lot of the reason why there was a lot of tension in the household. Had a lot of disagreements, but my brother and my oldest sister are right in there with my mother when it comes to this belief system. And my brother is teaching my niece this system, and if she continues and takes it on, she will be the 5th generation on my mother's side continuing the SDA culture.
Geez. So she's kind of, and they carried on in the same manner, very extreme.
Yes.
Wow. So you grew up in the Bible Belt for the most part, yeah. So I think that's one of the advantages I had when I was growing up, is I grew up in South Florida, so nobody, that's like hell. It's like it's just like, if there's a hell on earth, that's it. That, or Las Vegas, who knows, Sin City. But so your family was on board. Some of your family was on board for some of this stuff. What about the people around you? Like when you did get out and you did go into town or you did meet other people, were they very religious as well, or was it just totally different?
I wasn't really allowed to talk to anybody else, but from what I could see the differences in like their appearance, that they were all kinds of people in our town.
Yeah.
But
you showed me a picture of you from back, I think, when some years ago, and you were dressed like with this, like it looked like it was a very thick, like I guess a dress. I don't know about like what to call women's clothing, but it was a piece of clothing that went from your waist all the way down to your ankles. Like
it was a long, it's either a corduroy or a denim skirt, and then I had a plaid buttoned-up shirt on, long sleeve,
and in a jacket too. You were like completely covered up. It was like you were completely like, it was definitely, you could tell by the picture that it wasn't normal. It wasn't like, because you looked very uncomfortable, period. It didn't look like you would like wear that, like be like, that's not something people would just want to wear around all day. It's very, a lot of covering up, so to speak. So you lived your life completely sheltered in this situation. How in the hell did you get out of that and transition to paganism? How did this happen?
So when I got with my ex, he had a cousin, and his old lady was a pagan witch. And she actually gave me my first set of tarot. She waited until I was like, hey, I'm interested in this. Can you help me with some stuff? And then she surprised me with a set of tarot cards later. And like, it was funny because I was like secretly really wanting a tarot, but I didn't mention it to nobody. And then a little while later, voila, a tarot deck is gifted to me. So I pretty much just got sick and tired of trying the Christianized version of what I was raised in. It wasn't me. So, and there are other things that I experience within my reality that just does not click with the SDA system. So I was trying to find a belief system that would help me embrace my reality, the things that I experience, like paranormal and stuff like that, things that I believe in and that I've been shown stuff. So when I finally had access to the internet, when I got with my ex, I Googled up different belief systems and practices, and Wicca actually came up right front and center, and it was really good to come across Wicca. And when I started looking into it, it felt like it was calling to me, like it had been there all along, and it felt like coming home. Right. So
yeah, I've had a lot of people mention that over my years of doing this, where they say it feels like coming home. As a matter of fact, in my band Witch's Mark that I had, we actually did a song that said those exact words. It was the chorus involved those exact words, and it was inspired because we had heard so many times about people giving the same thing about it. It's like coming home. So how long have you been doing Wicca now, you were saying?
I have been learning and trying to practice as much as possible for about 3 years. I had just had my little girl when I was really encouraged to start practicing Wicca and getting into it. I wanted to show her a different world than what I grew up in. And I didn't like the world that I grew up in, how they treated women, how they teach their women and little girls, and I want her to be different.
Well, you definitely went to the right place, because this religion is very matriarchal, and it's very if you do Wicca, you support feminism for the most part. You know, I don't know any men in Wicca who aren't. The bottom line is it's a matriarchal religion. Like, even in Gardnerian tradition, the high priestess is the all do all, in that sense, where usually you share responsibilities and stuff. But in Guard tradition, when the shit hits the fan and nobody else has an answer, or there's an argument going on and nobody, the priestess she slams the gavel and says, okay, well, it's going to be like this.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. And it's just the way it is. I mean, it's not like, any good coven will share the responsibilities. Like the coven that I was working with back in Florida, I did all the teaching, I did all of the lessons, but my ex-wife, who was the priestess at the time, she was the person that did all of if somebody had an issue or somebody had a problem or somebody had an emotional thing, they went to her. They came to me when they wanted information on something. So it was like we had like a whole thing. And we didn't plan it that way. It just turned out that way, over the years. It just, But she was literally like the motherly caring one, and I was like the fatherly, like, do this and get it done, and this is how it's done. It's like, but that being said, so you had mentioned earlier that you were kind of like on the eclectic side of things. You pretty much were an eclectic witch, which makes a lot of sense, especially in the beginning, because in the beginning, was a beginning witch, almost all of us are eclectic first. I was eclectic for 10 years before I went Gardnerian.
I feel better now.
Oh no, yeah, I've been doing witchcraft for a little over 30 years, since I was 18. I'm going to be 50 this year in December, so a couple of months away. I might as well call myself 50 now. But whatever, do the math. That's how long I've been doing Wicca. So from 18 minus 49 or whatever. Only 22 of that as a Gardnerian. So again, do the math. Whatever years before that, from 18 to that, was an eclectic. And I run a coven and everything as an eclectic, but still, I was eclectic for more than I think 10 years around there. So I think everybody goes eclectic first. It's very rare to find. I almost suggest going eclectic first before you join a traditional group. So even though you are eclectic, do you favor a certain type of magic or method in witchcraft?
That's like asking me what my favorite music is. You're not going to get a straight answer. Just because I don't like a certain song does not mean I don't like that type of music. And I'm still learning quite a bit, so...
Great. Yeah, see, and I really feel like eventually, somewhere down the road, you will start to fall into a niche, like, I was in the same way, where I did a lot of practicing, especially when you first start out. It's kind of crazy because you get overwhelmed in a sense. You really, like, a lot of times, like, beginners, like, they'll do rituals or something like that, and they'll be like, did I do it right? I don't even know if I did that right. Oh my gosh. So, and like I've said in previous videos, there's no doing it wrong. So you're doing it right. Regardless of what happens, you're doing it right. This isn't ceremonial magic where everything has to be done exactly to a T when this planet's in alignment with this solar system of this galaxy and the lights have to shine and the Pope had to have been married exactly 22 years and 6 months or else it's not going to work. This is witchcraft. Witchcraft, you don't even have to wait for the moon phase. This is about an opportunistic situation. If you need a healing and the moon's on a waning, do that goddamn healing. I mean, it's gonna work. You don't have to wait till the moon. You might be dead by the time the moon goes into waxing. So... again, it doesn't follow the same lines as some of the other occult practices. It's very, very forgiving and very, very, and there is no doing it wrong. It's very humbling, so to speak. But I actually have like one of my favorite magics now. As you go along, and this is for everybody, you will start to fall into a niche of certain things. Like you'll start to do a magic, and after the years, you'll literally be like, you'll start to have that go-to. Like mine's candle magic. You know, I have this go-to thing with doing cylinder candle magic, and that's my deal. Anytime I really want to put some big bang into something, that's what I do. But that's just my preference. So when you did decide to come out of the closet and you did decide to be pagan, how did your family and friends take it?
Let's just say I lost everybody pretty much, and my mother is still in denial about it.
Wow. So you did a major sacrifice to go this direction.
I believe I made the right decision. It's lonely sometimes, but the right decision was worth it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You also make new friends. And in certain situations, like in craft, I know a shit ton of people in witchcraft who say they much more prefer their chosen family over their birth family.
Yeah. My birth family made fun of my beliefs as a pagan. So.
Yeah, that's common. It's easy to pick on stuff like this, you know. I mean, it totally is. I'm guilty of it myself. When I first met my ex-wife, I was 15 years old, and for 3 years, she was very much into witchcraft, and I used to pick on her all the time. You know, you're gonna cast a spell on me, ooh. And then all of a sudden, I had this calling when I was 18. And all of a sudden I called her up and I'm like, hey, you still have any of those books? I want to read those books now. And she didn't believe me. She was like, oh, you're so full of crap. She's like, you know, what the hell? You know, why are you even doing this? I was like, no, I'm dead serious. I'm really, and you know, I just had a 180-degree turnaround. But like I said, I'm guilty of it myself. So, okay, so you kind of lost some family and friends, but that sucks. But you still have a great relationship with your mom, or you still have a relationship with your mom.
I have one, yes.
Yeah, so that's good though, at least. So she just doesn't accept it. So she kind of thinks you're going through a phase, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess the joke's on her in the end.
I'm not gonna argue with her. I'm gonna let her go to her grave, thinking that deep down somewhere I'll change, because it is what it is.
You know what? By the time she gets there, it won't matter anymore.
I know.
Talking about, you know, because I believe that when you pass on, you kind of like a bunch of realizations come in. You know.
Oh no! I know. I've had a couple of deceased family members. Yeah. You might want to just edit that part out. It's normal for me to talk about deceased loved ones talking to me through every day, but I don't think that's what you're looking for your channel. From the other side, I get conversations all the time about how they're sorry and shit like that, and that it's completely different. So yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing. You can talk about that stuff. That's what is. I thought you were gonna go into. I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking about that. Why not? That's metaphysical. That's the occult.
Yeah, but you wanted to know about like my Christian background and all that. You didn't want to know that I talk to dead people sometimes.
Hey man, rock it. You know, it doesn't matter. No, that's fine. Especially if you're expressing a point that I asked. You know, like I said, this person's. I think that when you go to the grave, you have a lot of realizations, and you were just basically backing that up, saying, no, I think you're right because I've had this experience, you know?
Okay, well, my sister who passed away frequently visits me, and she has reassured me on many occasions that it's totally different on the other side. She has a totally different viewpoint, and she was sorry for a lot of things. So,
wow. See, that's amazing. That's great. That's awesome. I would like for some of my deceased family to come back and tell me some things, but they usually don't. Do you still, so you made this transition, but do you still have a hard time from time to time? Do you still hold on to some Christian values?
I hold on to a few, and to be fair, I don't think that the Christians actually hold to these Christian values. The one that I like the most, which kind of actually reminds me of, I want to say it's the Rule of Three. And it would be the verse in the New Testament where it says, judge not lest ye be judged, for with what measure ye meet, that will be measured unto you. So what you do to other people, you're going to get that back. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know that the Rule of Three isn't always supposed to be that harsh or extreme, but it's a nice rule to remember. Don't judge somebody. Don't be mean to somebody. You know, everybody deserves to be here and have their own points of view. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. Very cool. Okay. But as far as like a fear, for instance, that like maybe you made the wrong decision or something, how does that affect you?
Nope.
Okay, good.
I got no fear, and even if it were true,
feel like there's a lot of people out there, especially when they first transition, that they wonder, like, is this the right thing? But I think that in reality, it's like you have to jump. You know, you have to jump off that cliff and just go and stop looking behind you and just look forward. And you know, I mean, I can't answer for everybody because, you know, everybody's different. But, you know, I mean, it is definitely a situation where you can't be on the fence. If you're on the fence, you're going to struggle even more, you know. But I don't know. I think most people who do this, I don't think they're on the fence, a lot of people. I think most people who do this, they've taken that leap, you know. But then again, I have a really good friend, a really close friend, who was Christian, went pagan, like Gardnerian tradition, like initiated and everything, and then went to the Catholic Church. Was there for a few years, and then ultimately came back to paganism, where he still is today. But, you know, so he's definitely a seeker. I mean, like, whoa. like Mad Max shit, you know. So let's see. So you're doing this presently, and you're learning, which is super exciting, because that's like the best. I mean, we're all still learning. I mean, but when you are in the beginning stages still, it's even more exciting, because there's so much you discover and learn all the time. And you don't even get a chance, as yourself as a witch, you don't even really get a chance to work with other witches, do you? Like at covens and stuff, or going to events, like public events where they might have a public Sabbath or something like that.
No, I would love to, but no.
Yeah, see, yeah, that's like a whole nother thing. When you start meeting other folks that are like-minded and everything, holy shit, man. Like the whole world, just like the sun comes out and goes, oh, you know, it's like, so it's, yeah, we need to work on that. I'm going to help you with that moving forward. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find some things in your area and everything, and see if, like, I have to do that myself. I'm over here telling you this, and since I've moved to New Hampshire, I have, this is going to kill you guys. So I'm talking to a friend like 2 days ago, and I'm like, yeah, the Universalist Unitarian Church around here doesn't do pagan stuff. I'm like, but there's a witchcraft store in every town. I live in New England. So I live in New Hampshire. So the thing is that in all of New England, there's like witchcraft here like crazy. It's everywhere. It's like everybody is a freaking witch. There's so many pentagrams on people's houses, you wouldn't believe it.
I'm jealous.
Huh?
I'm jealous.
No, but you never see anything. I was more active when I lived back in Florida. Like there was more going on. I was going to every month. I was going to some kind of gathering that was doing something, even during COVID times. Here I have yet to find anything. But I was talking to a friend, and I'm like, yeah, I checked with the Universalist Unitarian Church, and they don't do anything pagan. I'm like, the Universalist Unitarian Church back in Florida always did. That's where I did a lot of stuff, you know, there. I used to do a lot of stuff. And she's like, oh, well, you said in one of your videos that the next thing you should do is go to stores and stuff and check with all the local stores and see if they have things. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did say that, didn't I? I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to make some phone calls to some local stores and, you know, take my own advice, you know? But that's a great way to find out if things are going on around you. Now, I know in some situations, especially when you live in, like, the Bible Belt, forget it. I mean, you don't even have witchcraft stores around there. The closest thing you have to a witchcraft store might be a Hobby Lobby, which is a total weird thing because Hobby Lobby has more witchcraft shit in it than you wouldn't believe, but yet they're a majorly Christian-based store. I think it's hilarious.
I love Hobby Lobby. Don't go there.
No, the Hobby Lobby's the best. That and like Michael's. I think another great thing is like anytime I do a spell, I have to go to Michael's Arts and Craft to grab shit first. It's like, but if only they knew, you know. You've on this route. You're doing your thing. You have 3 kids. Mm-hmm. Who you love dearly, obviously. How are you? How does your witchcraft ways? How does your evil ways? No, how does your witchcraft ways carry on to them?
Well, I actually have my altar in a main room, not in my room, so they can see it. They know what it is. They know not to mess with it. They're allowed to look at things that I pull off for them. My oldest is actually very interested in tarot, and I've started helping him try to do his own tarot. He's got a lot going on where he's been a witness to a lot of things, so I figured tarot would be a really great way to help him, progress and move forward. And they're all interested in it. They're like, oh, my mommy's a witch. That's really cool.
Yeah. You were mentioning at one point, you were telling me that you've even gone to as far as like when you go to their school, like you pretty much tell the teachers and stuff like, hey,
yes,
just so you know, so it's not a surprise if they happen to mention something.
I did that when I first enrolled them in school about 2 years ago up here. I relocated from Tennessee, so to where I'm at now. And I was like, hey, I want to just let it be known. I'm Wiccan, I'm pagan, and my kids are probably going to talk about things, just so you know. If you have an issue, please get a hold of me, contact me. And they were actually really nice. Yes, it is like the Bible Belt here, but they were very understanding, and they were like, oh, well, is it okay if they still be in the room when we pray over our food? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, I want them to have exposure to all the other religions. I'm not going to tell them mine is the only one.
Right. Which is really great that you're doing that you're letting them, have their own, mind, so to speak, That's what I tell everybody when I get asked many times, Manon, how do I introduce my kids to this? First of all, you're talking to the wrong human being, because I don't have any kids. I actually just started taking care of a 14-year-old, or she was 13 when I came into her life, for like the last year. So I'm brand new at parenting. I don't know squat about it. It's like,
good luck.
Definitely a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. But again, she's already a teenager, so I'm at the most difficult stages. But I do know that I tell people, don't shove it down your kids' throats. Don't be that Christian who shoves it down your throat. Just do your thing, and if they happen to join in, great. Pink doesn't shove it down Cubert's throat. She just says, hey, I'm going to do a thing. Do you want to be part of it? If you don't want to be part of it, then don't come out of your room, because I'm doing this thing, and it's like, but and sometimes she wants to be part of it, and sometimes she doesn't. It's it depends on what friend she's talking to on the phone, or the computer. And it's but, and I'll tell you another thing for you kids out there who, the very important message, who are getting into this and doing your thing with Wicca and witchcraft. If your parents aren't into it, and they are, and you're in a situation like Teresina might have been, where they're like, get that shit out of my house, you have to respect your parents' wishes. You can't rebel in the name of Wicca. Oh no way, this is the way. You need to respect your parents' wishes. They're your parents. That you live under their household. You live under their roof. If they tell you you're not allowed to have Wicca books, then you shouldn't have Wicca books. Maybe you can work something else out. Maybe you can work something out with them. Maybe you can work something out with a friend or something. I don't know how you would do that. How you can get access to Wicca books or tools or anything like that you want to work with. If they don't want them under their roof, then don't do it. Again, there's no reason to, don't rebel in the name of Wicca, so to speak. And all of a sudden they go into your bed and find a whole altar set up. I mean, you really need to respect your parents in that aspect. When you're 18, you can do what you want to do at that point. And even then, you can't do whatever you want to do. If you're 18 years old and you still live under their roof, and mom and dad say no, absolutely not, then you're still screwed. But it is what it is. At least then, maybe by then you have a car and you can put the shit in your trunk or something. Who knows? Maybe be able to go places, whatever. But yeah, you got to respect other people's wishes. And when it comes to this stuff. Otherwise, you're no better than the Christians that, you shove things down people's throats and everything else at the same time.
Believe it or not, they are trying to do what's best for their child. Whether it's right or wrong, they're still doing what they're doing because they think it's best.
Right.
Even my mother and all her issues, she was doing what she thought was best because of her beliefs. So.
Right. She doesn't see Wicca for what it is. She sees it with blindfolds on, and trying to convince somebody otherwise is, forget it. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. They're going to believe what they're going to believe, and that's that. To this day, do you still struggle with being pagan, with the community around you and your family and stuff like that? Or are they pretty much out of the picture?
they're pretty much like out of the picture.
And what about the community around you? Like,
I don't really get out in the community a whole lot, but I proudly march wherever I go with my pentacle and my look. You can't really mistake me unless I've decided to look like a rainbow hippie for the day.
all right. Well, there you go. Okay, good. So you're out of the closet and rocking it and doing your thing, which is great. It's great. Congratulations and, welcome to the party.
Thank you.
For all of our other people out there, all of our other fellow witches and Wiccans out there that are in the same position as you, what advice could you give them?
Never give up. Keep it in your heart. You deserve to be spiritually happy and free. No matter what you believe, you deserve love. Trust your intuition. It's there to guide you. And you're stronger than you think.
Okay, awesome. So, Teresina, thank you so much for being with us. And you have a YouTube channel yourself called Teresina's World. And I'm going to link it down in the description below. So you guys can go to that YouTube channel. She just started doing YouTube, but she does things where she teaches people. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, or do you want me to tell them?
I mean, you can if you want to.
Okay, so she does these cool little skits and everything where she teaches people little things, little tidbits of witchcraft and Wicca, and does a great job, and so I totally suggest you go check her out. And that's going to wrap up this episode of Witch in the Working. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you are in Teresina's situation where you are in a religious background, regardless, it doesn't have to be Christianity, it could be anything, but I'll be honest, most of the time this shit that's shoved down your throat is Abrahamic of some way. If you are in this situation, how did you get into paganism? How did you transition into paganism? How's your life going now? Let us know in the comments below. Again, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Teresina's YouTube channel below in Teresina's World, and also ring that little bell and click the all so you can be reminded of future episodes to come, and we will call it an evening. Thank you guys very much for being here. Love you guys and gals. Wave goodbye.